Okay, I've never done this before. I usually will type out things on my blog that I want to talk about, mostly music stuff. We lost Chris Cornell last week. So let's start with the music. It's been part of my life for 20 some odd years. Soundgarden, Audio Slave, Temple of the Dog, the solo stuff, the covers. I thought the covers were amazing. He would take the covers and just bring them from a different place. If you've never heard his version of Metallica's One, look that up. It's incredible. And Billie Jean and Nothing Compares to You. Just incredible stuff. And so I've been having a hard time the last 2 weeks. On May 9th, I found out that a friend of mine had committed suicide. And he was a really great person. He was a very creative, talented, hardworking guy. And he was funny, and he was kind, and he was generous, and he was just a really wonderful person. And I kind of did what I always do, which is to just kind of label it and say, well, he was struggling financially. He didn't have anyone in his life at this time for a while, I guess. And then when Chris died, I thought, well, Chris didn't have any financial problems. He had a family that loved him greatly, and he loved them, and it reopened that wound for me. And I got to thinking about the things that you hear about suicide. People say it's selfish. I used to say that. People say it's the coward's way out. Sorry. Okay. But the thing is, my friend wasn't ever selfish. And from what I hear, from what I've read about Chris Cornell and the people that knew him, he was a very generous person. He wasn't selfish. He gave a lot. So that kind of throws that out the window. And my friend wasn't a coward either. He lived life for 50 some odd years on his own terms, despite what some people in our society hated him for. So what they're doing when you say something like that is you're taking all of these emotions and you're putting them in a box, and you're putting a label on it because you think you don't have to deal with it. But that box stays with you. And it'll come up at the worst times. It'll come up in a job interview. Or when you're sick and battling a disease. Or when your wife leaves you 20 years, which happened to a friend of mine. And all of these emotions will come out and you'll have to deal with them. And when you try and deal with them, the first question is why? Why did they do it? But I don't think that's the question. And that's something I just figured out. There are 5 stages of grief. You can Google that. It's pretty standard stuff. And you got to work through those 5 stages. And so the question is, what stage are you in? And how do I get to that next stage? And sometimes you're in 2 of those stages, but you won't get to stage 4 without going through stage 1. And, I don't know what happened. There's obviously something there that it wasn't like either of these guys were sat up one day and said, you know what, I'm done with this. I've done all of these things and it's not working anymore. It's something that messes up, a chemical somewhere, and you don't know what you're doing, and you make a mistake, and it's permanent. And I miss my friend. And the conversations we would have. He had this gift where he would find that thing that you weren't comfortable talking about. And he'd get you laughing about it. So I know that I miss him, and I know that I hate this world just a little bit more because he's gone. I'm grateful for so many things, but it sucks. So I hope if you're watching this, you can find something. If you're having a hard time with something, and you can work through those 5 stages. And please, if your head goes into that space, find somebody. Put it off till tomorrow. Find something, another reason to stay here. Hopefully if I do another one of these, it's a little more fun, a little less emotional. Peace.